On October 24th, we'll return to the sanctuary for worship at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. Things will be a little different than the last time you were in worship in the sanctuary, so we wanted to let you know what to expect. Here's your video guide. Each Monday, we will send out an email with a link to register for worship for the following Sunday. Click on the link. Sign in with your name, email, and number in your party. We need this so that we can know how many folks to expect, to make sure we don't exceed our capacity to keep people socially distant during worship, and for contact tracing purposes. We need to know who is present each week in case we need to notify those in attendance of a positive COVID case. While RSVPing, you will also be asked to click a box to agree to our worshiping covenant. It's important that you understand and agree to the covenant before arriving for worship. Here's what the covenant says. We are people of the covenant who seek to live and worship in community. We are called to welcome and love one another. In love and faith, and with God's help, I, as a member of this community, commit to protecting others' health and safety as we seek to prevent the spread of COVID-19. In returning to in-person worship, I recognize the importance of continuing to follow best practices for reducing the transmission of COVID-19. Therefore, while worshiping together, I agree to stay home if I feel sick, regardless of the reason. Allow St. Andrews to maintain a record of my attendance for contact tracing. Contact St. Andrews immediately upon notification if I test positive within 1 week of attending in-person worship. Cover my face and nose continuously with a quality mask when inside the building. Follow all COVID safety practices while at the church and in everyday life so that I do not bring infection to other worshipers. I will follow public health guidelines if I have been in contact with someone who has tested positive for COVID-19. This covenant is how we keep each other safe. When you click Submit, you will receive a confirmation email. You'll need to make your reservation by Friday each week. We will welcome folks to worship with us in the sanctuary without a reservation as long as space is available. When you arrive on Sunday morning, you'll probably want to allow a little extra time. Even if you have your own church key or are used to entering another way, we're asking everyone to enter through the narthex doors on the east parking lot side. When you arrive, check in at the welcome table. If you haven't already registered and signed the worshiping covenant, this will be your chance to do that. You can sign a paper covenant, or you can scan the QR code on the sign and do it online. If you've already registered and signed the covenant online, you only need to check in at the welcome table. If you forgot your mask, we will have some available for you. No one will be allowed into the building without properly wearing a mask. We ask that you keep them on until you exit the building after worship. You'll see hand sanitizer stations around the building. Please use those as needed. You can pick up a paper worship bulletin as you enter, or you can scan the QR code to follow along on your phone or tablet. When you enter the narthex, you'll see a place for you to leave your tithes and offerings. We won't be passing plates down the pews like we used to. You can leave your offering here before worship, drop it in the basket on the way out of worship, or scan the QR code to make a gift online. Please wait in the narthex before you enter the sanctuary. One of our ushers will direct you to your seat. You'll notice that about half of the pews have been roped off, and there are signs on some of the seats to help mark seating to allow for social distancing between households. The ushers will be filling the pews from front to back. Now, this may, for some, trigger all sorts of fun jokes about Presbyterians not sitting in the front row, or what happens when someone sits in your pew. You're welcome to joke about it, but we ask you to follow the usher's guidance. Be grateful that there are safe ways to worship together inside. And remember that God doesn't care which pew you sit in or if you are joining worship online from your recliner at home. At the end of worship, following the benediction and passing of the peace, the worship leaders will exit the sanctuary using the side aisles and then proceeding out the doors of the building. You will be guided out the same way by the ushers. We will not be gathering for coffee or fellowship time in the narthex. You're welcome to share fellowship and pass the peace outdoors to keep everyone safe. Remember, we will continue to offer worship live streamed on YouTube as we have been. If you have questions about making a reservation, please call or email Gretchen in the church office. We know lots of folks are excited to return to worship in the sanctuary, but not everybody is ready. It's okay if you choose to stay home. We've come a long way in the past 19 months, but this pandemic is not over yet. We believe that if you choose to continue to worship online, it is not an indication of a lack of faith or that you are simply being ruled by fear. We will continue to offer worship and other opportunities to connect online as a way to love God and love neighbor. And I want to say a special word of thanks to the members of the COVID Task Force, the Management Ministry, and the Worship Ministry for all the work they've done to make sure that we can safely return to the sanctuary. See you on Sunday.